Progress comes to a world of magic as science and the arcane combine to make marvels. Meet steampunk inventors and orc mystics at the Volsung Hub on beastsofwar.com. It's time for 28mm World War II action. Will you recreate history or reshape it your way? On the Bolt Action Hub at beastsofwar.com.
Good morning and welcome to The Weekender. We have a action-packed show, okay?
Yep.
Oh boy. In this show we have Dropfleet Commander with Dave Lewis and Andy Chambers. It's a must-watch. We also have a report from Thomas Menes on the WTC. That was the Warmachine World Team Championships that have just finished at the weekend past. Looked like an amazing event. We're also going to be talking to him about a new little series that we've produced there that we're putting together, which is all about Warmachine conversions. So it's like a real chop shop type thing, and it's going to start out quite simple, but then it gets more complex. If you want to see what this guy is capable of, do we have a picture?
I have a shot of the army he took to the WTC.
Yeah.
And it is gorgeous.
What do you see? Look at that!
It's amazing.
Every one of those models is custom, isn't it?
Yeah.
You know,
It's a Legion of Everblight army, but it doesn't have one single solitary component of a Legion miniature in the army.
It's just nuts.
It's absolutely beautiful.
Anyway, so that is all to come on the show a little bit later. But first things first, it's time to do... What the hell's been going on in the world of gaming this week?
He means the news.
The news.
Yes. To start with, Antenocitis Workshop have been up to their old tricks and created some new terrain for Infinity. So the first thing we have is a set of 3 new cars to actually add to your gaming tables. I like these a lot.
Love Antenocities cars. I just think that they are absolutely sick. What can you tell us about them?
Right, well, you've got 3 of them. So you've got the yellow one, which is the Push Me.
Yep.
You've got the orange-red one, which is the Senna, and then you have the Federale, which is sort of a hover police car, which I think is just so cool.
It is sick, isn't it?
Yeah, but you see, I always think these are the perfect things to dress an Infinity City with.
Yeah.
Because you know the way sometimes you lay out an Infinity table and it's just like, well, the roads are empty. They shouldn't be empty. There should be cars that we're running and ducking and hiding behind.
Well, this is one of the things that I'm really getting into now, and we've been doing it for a long time, is you're laying out a gaming table, but it's the incidental stuff that you can put onto a gaming table. It really does make a difference. Also, I think some of this stuff might be, and you can let me know, you guys, but might be kind of cool even in like a Judge Dredd.
Yeah, you could work with that.
You know, it's
if you were to do a modern day, 2014 Judge Dredd, this stuff would fit. Yeah.
We see, I'm not that familiar with the Judge Dredd IP. I've seen the movies and stuff like that there. It doesn't look that far away. Do you know what else it would be really cool for? I would love to see a miniatures game based on Total Recall.
Yeah. Ooh, that could be interesting.
I wonder if there would be any possibility of creating one in 2 weeks. Oh, come on, all right.
See, even when I get the references, sometimes you pull it off so badly, it's just me going, what?
Yeah, cheers for that.
All right.
Okay, that's Antenocities. Definitely worth checking out.
What's up next? In the lineup, Osprey have decided to release a board game.
Ooh!
All hail the king is dead. Well, The King is Dead is the name of the board game.
Yeah. Now, Osprey set up this game design. They've set up like their gaming wing there.
Yeah.
What are we about a year into it? Maybe
Something
less.
Like that.
It was sometime this year they did it.
Yeah.
They really are ramping up. They've got Frostgrave and all in there. Yeah. It's nice to see this. It's nice to see it. It looks kind of nice.
It's interesting. It's very much an old school board game, but the whole idea is you're playing one of the lords and ladies after King Arthur himself has died. What you're doing is you're playing power into factions to actually try and end up ruling Britain.
So this is what happened
after he died.
After his reign.
Yes.
But his King Arthur, he had, well, who did he have? Was that Lancelot and Merlin and stuff like that?
Yeah, that's the one.
Are they in it?
No, don't know. Do not know.
Yeah.
We don't know.
Okay.
I think this is more of a political intrigue piece.
Yeah.
You know.
Well, as you know, it does look like your kind of Euro board game. You know, it's yeah, it'll be interesting to try that one.
It'll be fun to see what happens with it.
Okay.
Now, speaking of Frostgrave, they are coming out with a new expansion to the game. And because of that, they're adding a lot of new miniatures. Now, I have a few images here, so we'll quickly cycle through them. So we have a troll.
Okay, let's take this one.
You love your trolls?
I do like my trolls.
Yeah. We then
It's not the best troll I've ever seen.
It's not horrible, though. Next up, we have the undead minions.
No, they're kind of funky.
Yeah, I like them too.
Yeah, now these guys are a conversion set from their men-at-arms, or their fighter set.
Yeah.
You've also got new wizards and apprentices, and you're even getting a genie, which I quite like.
Yeah.
And then the skeletons are actually from a plastic set of guys, which are quite nice. So I do like what they're going with it.
No, these are cultists. No, this is not the same as the skeleton set, or
I think the skeleton set is an upgrade. So hang on, if you keep an eye on this bottom image in the right, we'll go back to the skeletons and the undead, and you can sort of see some of the stuff similar.
Okay.
Okay.
Well, if he's wrong, blame him.
I'll take that one on.
You gotta love skeletons.
Yeah. Well, you see, I just love Frostgrave in general.
Yeah. Tell us about it.
Well, the game's very simple. It's all set in a frozen city, and each of your warbands is led by a wizard and an apprentice, right? So the key is, the only thing that actually levels up in this game is your wizard. So he becomes more powerful game to game to game.
Yeah.
So he's a key player on the battlefield. You lose him.
So nothing else.
Nothing else levels up.
It kind of feels a bit Warmachine-y from.
But you see, the thing is, you'll buy more guys in as you go through your campaigns.
Yeah.
So you have sort of an after game management to it, which is something I was loving games. But on the actual tabletop, he's just casting his spells. He's buffing a little bit here and there, but nothing too much. It's not quite like Warmachine, but he's so important in the game. Everybody's trying to defend him. The last game I played was actually a 4-way match.
Yeah.
Which was a little insane. We were all charging to the center of the board to try and get to an objective and get away again.
Yeah. Does it handle that multiplayer aspect well then?
Very, very well. Because the actual game turn is divided into your wizard turn, your apprentice turn, your soldier turn, your beast turn. So different things are activating at different times. And with 4 people, it's very quick to activate, say, your wizard and 2 or 3 guys along with him. Move them about, do their stuff. Okay, your turn. Move them about, do their stuff. So you never feel like you're left out of the game in those larger player games. Yeah. Which I like.
Yeah. What's the background to the game then?
The background I haven't really looked into.
Typical.
I know there's many. I know there's treasure. My dwarf is going for the treasure, and he is getting the hell off the board.
Yeah, well, we'll have to look more into the background. Yeah. But I've got to say, I quite like those skellies. Are they going to do this as a kind of one of the Nickstarters from North Star, or?
I think this is. I think these are already out, but I think there is a Nickstarter coming from North Star. So. We'll wait and see what happens there.
Okay, right. Next up, we've got the Stormtroopers.
Star Wars.
Okay.
Ta-da! So it's for Imperial Assault. The Stormtroopers are finally getting their own box to actually add more to your game.
You know, it's criminal how little we have played this game. Now that we have the Let's Play set.
We only got it set up last week, and Mini Wargaming Dave was across this week and hijacked it.
Yeah.
He christened it and he hijacked it.
Well, we definitely have to get some kind of a game stream going for this one.
Yeah, definitely. Definitely.
So what are we looking at in this box set then?
Right, well, you're getting new cards for tactical actions and stuff for your Stormtroopers. You're also getting new sculpts for the Stormtroopers, which is a very useful thing because you can sort of recognize your guys a little more easily.
Yeah.
You know, so it's a little update on what's going on with it. It's nothing major just yet, but I think it's going to be good.
Well, I think not last week, but the week before during XLBS, we were talking about where are the sci-fi dungeon crawlers, but we kind of forgot about this one.
Right.
This is your kind of sci-fi dungeon crawler. So yeah, I'm interested to see where we go with that one.
Yeah.
Okay, what's up next, Jono?
The next one is definitely one of John's.
Empress Miniatures. Yes, they are bringing out a rule set, a very short, quick rule set for modern combat.
Isn't it just 2 sides of an A4 page?
It's a 2-sided A4 page, basically, that you buy and you can download. Uses their existing Modern Warfare range. Yeah. So like all the miniatures, the Russians and so on that they have up there already.
So John can roll an Abrams out on the table?
Or
would you go for Leopard 2?
It's none of your business what tank I would go for.
Have we got any idea just at this stage on anything about the game? You know, any of the kind of the mechanics, or are we still waiting?
We need to check it out.
Yeah,
we need to check it out. But it's there. It's on their website. I want to give it a go.
Look, if I know Don and Gianna, they'll probably be all over this one. So I would keep an eye out for articles from them.
Modern Warfare is my thing. You know, I've been dying to do.
Warren, you're like
I'm more interested.
Everything gaming is your thing.
Do you know? Yeah, maybe. You know, because my tastes are becoming very eclectic. Okay, there is still some stuff that I'm just not so buzzed by.
Yeah.
But you know, I've always hankered after a kind of a near future combat game, because you know I just love the whole Tom Clancy thing, and this for me looks like my route into doing that whole Tom Clancy Total War kind of thing. So definitely one to watch. Do we know what the rule set is called? Was it Danger Close?
Danger Close.
Yeah.
So we need to
keep an eye out for.
I want to check it out and I want to try it.
Well,
knowing you, John.
Yep. Okay. That wraps up the news. Okay, we're going to tell you about some hubs, but after that, I've got Andy Chambers and Dave Lewis in the studio to talk about Dropfleet Commander. This is the brand new orbital combat game. I was going to call it a spaceship game.
But it's not.
It's not.
Well, it is a spaceship game, but it's not a space battle game.
There's spaceships in it.
Yeah.
But orbital combat. This is going to be the new kind of buzzword. And I want to kind of stick to that, because I think it's worthy of its own category.
Its own near genre sort of thing. Yeah.
So orbital combat. Do you know what? Let me tell you about some hubs, and we'll get the guys into the studio.
Fight for the Iron Kingdoms as a warcaster. Take control of the mighty jacks, arcane devices, and dark sorceries to bring the fight to the Warmachine Hub on beastsofwar.com. Anime cyberpunk style meets skirmish combat in Infinity. Experience 8 high-tech factions and fight to control the human sphere at the Infinity Hub on beastsofwar.com.
Hi guys, welcome back. I'm joined, of course, by, the legendary Dave Lewis of Hawk Wargames. Remember the guy that hid in a cave for 2 years and then came out and blew us all away? And of course, the legendary Andy Chambers. Gentlemen, welcome to the show. It's great to have you. Okay, so we're here to talk about Dropfleet Commander. It's coming to Kickstarter. But before I get to all that, I have something to show you guys. Check this out. We've got the first piece of artwork now that's starting to creep out for the game. Dave, tell us a bit about this.
So this is obviously carnage and chaos, the aftermath of a big battle. This is one of Patrice's pieces, one of his very first ones for Dropfleet. He's been working on it for months now, different pieces. So there's a lot of work building up, a whole body of work that Patrice has been working on, and this one is one of my favourites. I just think it's very atmospheric. I love it.
I just love the colours and stuff in it. Right, well, anyway, just had to show you that. Right. Dropfleet is going to come to Kickstarter. Can you tell us a little bit about what your plans are?
So we've never done a Kickstarter before. When I started Hawk, Kickstarter wasn't really a thing.
Yeah.
And we launched with resin starter sets.
I bet you wish it was a thing now. Back then.
Yeah, I mean, I've had years of doing things the old-fashioned way, as it were, and there's nothing wrong with that at all. There's a time and a place for different things. With Drop Zone, we launched with resin starter sets for all the factions, which was very expensive. But there was nothing we could do about that. It was very expensive for the players and everything, and that was always a barrier to entry with Drop Zone initially in the start, and then it took us 2 years of building that up, saving up, building up before we could finally afford to do plastic tooling for Drop Zone, which was a huge turning point for Hawk and Drop Zone as a game. Suddenly it became half the price to get into, and it was so much easier for players to pick it up. And we've seen a huge upsurge in players since then. And with Dropfleet, it's been in the works for years now. Dropfleet, actually. I just didn't want to go back to the days of resin starter sets. We've moved on from that as a company. And plastic tooling is unfortunately very, very expensive, hence Kickstarter.
Yeah.
Really, the Kickstarter is very, very simple. It just has one purpose, which is to fund the plastic tooling for Dropfleet, so we can get all 4 factions in plastic from day one.
Yeah.
All 4, Dave?
All 4.
Even Sheltari and PHR will be in plastic at the start of the game.
Yep.
Amazing.
Yeah, that's the aim right from day one.
Yeah.
Also, that's allowed me to design all the miniatures for plastic from the beginning as well, which is we'll come on to that.
Yeah, you're going to see the effects.
You'll see what that means. As a designer of miniatures, that gives me a whole lot of options that I didn't have before. So it's very exciting, and I've really enjoyed working on the models. Yeah, I've spent a hell of a lot of time on them, but I hope it's worth it.
Now, you guys are also you're very, very store focused in supporting stores and things like that there. So you have plans in place for additional kind of retail only models and things like that there. And I suppose having them in plastic, actually, when you think about it, makes it a much easier sell for a store.
Yeah,
when it does come into retail.
Yeah, ultimately we want to look after our retailers, and retail is the most important way we sell miniatures. And we're not going to turn into a company that does everything on Kickstarter. That's very important for me to come out and say that straight out. It has a very key, definitive purpose. Beyond that, the Kickstarter won't have the entire range of everything on it.
Yeah,
it'll have all the things we actually need, which is all the plastics and things like that. All the core of your fleet is on there. A few Kickstarter exclusives that will never go to retail.
Yeah.
And beyond that, things like battleships, space stations, specialist ships, all those will go straight to retail. So there'll be plenty of new products that have not been on the Kickstarter for retailers to pick up.
Yeah.
And as you've said, it's a much easier sell for stores in plastic. It means you've got multi-option plastic boxes on the shelf, which is brilliant in terms of the amount of shelf space the range takes up. So everybody wins in plastic. Ultimately, that's the whole core root of this.
Well, I know you haven't got an exact date set in mind yet, but when roughly can we expect it?
So at the moment, this is penciled in. This is what we're aiming for, is the 30th of October for the Kickstarter to go live. And then it will finish on the 2nd of December. So it's just over 30 days.
Yeah.
That's the run time for the Kickstarter. To deliver around June.
Yeah.
Late May, June. Because the key thing as well is that, number one, we've done all of this before. We've done plastic tooling before. We've done miniatures design. And most of the miniatures design is done now anyway. A lot of the actual hours have been done. The rule set is...
So really, it's just the capital cost of putting together the tools.
And we know our lead times on that, and we manufacture everything in the UK. So there isn't any slow boat to China things going on in this process. We know how long it takes. And it's all being done here. The printing's being done here. So we can have a fairly short delivery window, which is nice. You know, you're not going to be waiting over a year for your product or anything like that. So this is key, and I wouldn't be able to sleep at night if that were the case. So
well, you mentioned that this project had been in development for a while. I hadn't realized just how long a while. We're talking years that you guys have been working on this. Andy, how did this transpire? What got you involved in the project?
A few years back, I moved back from the US to the UK, and shortly after that, I started seeing floating around on Facebook these pictures of marvelous models, 10mm models in sci-fi. One of my favourite topics, anyway. And these were beautiful enough that I actually reached out and got in touch with Dave to say, "Is there any work I can do for you? Because I really like your model ranges." Thinking that maybe he needs a supplement doing new race, something like that. As it turned out, as it transpired, he had played Battlefield Gothic in the past and was looking to do a spaceship game. Spaceships, says I. That I can help you with.
Yeah, because I mean, I grew up with lots of different games that Andy was involved writing. Actually, you know, I was a kid then, and I'm still a kid now, and will be for a long time, hopefully. But you know, I played a lot of BFG and loved it. Yeah. And you know, I always wanted to do a space combat game in the Drop Zone universe. That was always part of the plan from day one when I envisaged the whole thing at the start. So the timing was just perfect and just worked really, really well. Yeah.
Now, I want to talk a little bit about the design philosophy that you guys brought to the game, because spaceship games aren't new. You developed one of the originals. but there is a lot of unique aspects to the Drop Zone Commander universe that play out in the Drop Zone Commander game very well. You know, it is very much about the mobility of your assets and moving your assets around, whether that be your tanks, your infantry. It's not a game that it was just about pew 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 pew. It's
very slugfest.
Yeah,
this is one of the things I got from playing it, is that it's very modern feeling. You know, integrated arms is absolutely key. Using your air, your tanks, and your infantry together to achieve objectives. And it's a very mobile sort of a game as well. It isn't the old lines grinding towards each other, smashing chunks off all the time. That's not how Drop Zone plays. And that kind of then fed into how we considered doing Dropfleet. And there were a number of things that I was quite keen to see in the spaceship game that kind of reflected onto the Drop Zone game itself, and that they'd be quite tightly integrated, at least in terms of philosophy, if not in terms of actual mechanics.
Yeah. Now, I've been very fortunate at this stage to the guys. The rules are still in development, but it was far enough on that I've actually been taken through a bit of a playthrough on how this works, and I'm so blown away by the elegance of the game and how well it fits in to the Drop Zone Commander universe. You know, this is not a game that's just about some spaceships flying around going pew pew at each other. One of the things that really sets this game apart from any game that I can think of in that whole spaceship field is the fact that it's an orbital battle. These are battles that count. These are not just, why did they meet up in deep space anyway? You know,
how did they even fight each other?
It very much fits into this whole thing of that this is about the importance of retaking what the Scourge have taken, right to the point that you are deploying assets onto the planet's surface, and even those battles play out in this game.
Oh yeah.
It has a bit of a risk the game type feel to it. You know, that you're trying to work out what weight of power you need to bring to a city or something like that to try and retake it. Then you have to work out, how am I going to get it there? How am I going to get it back out potentially again? You know, and it's and then the actual battles that are taking place on there as well, and it all interacts so beautifully through the whole game. So you have your high orbit, your low orbit, atmosphere, and then it's just absolutely blowing me away. And the reason is, I don't look at them as just spaceships now. I look at them as they're carrying fleets of tanks. You know, they're carrying 1,000 men. You know, and there's some awesome rules in this that you guys have to see. Even the fighter escorts and bomber escorts. It's like, it's all in there. So you know, clearly you've spent a lot of time, you know, crafting this, but there are some specific rules that I think just really stand out. One of which is, for the longest time, ranges in spaceship type games have been a strange thing, because we know that if we fire something in space,
it's just going to keep going.
It's just going to keep going. So, how did you tackle something even as fundamental as ranges?
It came up very early. It was one of the things that Dave had mentioned, was that it always bothered him. How, you know, you're in space. Basically, you have infinite range. If you can fire something fast enough or powerful enough to damage a starship, then it's going to keep going basically until it hits the next star system. I'd also been thinking about ways for a while of handling range differently within games. So one of the first things we said, well, all right, if you can see it, you can hit it. The question is, can you see it? And the way I'd come up with for doing that was, just in the characteristics lines for every ship, it's got a scan rating and a signature rating. Scan is how far you can see. Signature is how far you can be seen. So when you shoot at an enemy ship, you take your scan, their signature, add the two together. That is the range that you can actually attack them from. Obviously, smaller ships have smaller signatures. Bigger ships have bigger signatures. So something like a battleship actually stands out pretty loudly. Then on top of that system, we have what we call energy spikes. Basically, when you do something that uses a lot of energy, fire most of your guns, maneuver hard, that kind of thing, you'll accrue an energy spike. Some damage results do this as well. A single energy spike is a minor spike that adds 6 inches onto your signature, which often for like a cruiser is about 6, so it's doubling your signature right there.
Yeah.
A major spike, when you've got 2 of these things going, that's a major spike. Never gets worse than this, but that adds 12 inches onto the range. People can see. And suddenly you're lit up like a Christmas tree. And people halfway across the table, literally, can see you and shoot at you. And what it means is in terms of maneuvering your ships and firing with your ships, there are consequences. There are consequences to cutting loose with every gun that's available just to wipe out those couple of frigates that are over there. There are consequences to using those frigates to hare across the table at maximum speed.
Yeah.
It's going to be far more visible. One of their best defenses is how unnoticeable they are until they get up close. And you're going to sacrifice that if you want to maneuver hard with them. And so on and so on. There's a lot of little things that we've played around with, and it's actually been a very successful system. I think you'll see it being stolen by various other games in the future.
One of the things that I really like about it is even how it fits into the narrative, and that it was explained to me that you're looking at this battlefield, and we're talking about whether they're visible or not. As the admiral of that fleet, I will know generally where my assets are, or I'll know exactly where my assets are. I'll know generally where my enemy's assets and fleet components are.
Yeah, you've always got a vague idea, which is why we have models on the tabletop and not blank counters or ping pong balls or something like that. You know roughly where they are, but the accuracy you need to be able to get a hit on something from thousands upon thousands of kilometers away, you've got to have an accurate reading on where they are, and be able to lock onto them and hit them.
Another key aspect to this is the fact that all the best war games really force you to make difficult choices, and that energy spike thing, I think, is a really classic example of that. Because I could take a big battleship in, go in all guns blazing, but I'm not likely to survive much after that.
You'll be a target for the entire opposing enemy fleet in no time flat. Because bear in mind, it doesn't matter what range they're at. If they can see you, they can hit you.
Yeah. And the other thing then is that there are then commands and things that you can do where you can run quiet for a while and bring all the spikes back
silent
down.
running. I love silent running. It's brilliant.
There's just so much. I've got to say, we all love games that are easy to play, difficult to master. Okay,
always the aim.
This game, I haven't seen anything convoluted in it yet.
No, well, this is partly because we've been designing for a while. The game, as it started out, was far more complicated than this. We tracked every single potential energy spike and so forth. Over time, we've winnowed it down, sharpened it up, ditched things that didn't work, done in simpler systems and so forth. And actually, the core system is very simple now, but actually very deep at the same time.
Well, guys, it's coming to Kickstarter. We're hoping to bring you some more stuff like maybe playthroughs and things like that closer to the time. But I've got to say, I've been blown away by it. If you are in any way interested in the Drop Zone Commander world, from what I have seen today, this does not disappoint. Okay, we have some models and ships to look at. I want to kick off with the UCM. So let me bring up some pictures and we can talk through some of the models.
Yeah, so strike carriers are one of the 2 ways you can get troops down to planets. These are crucial in game.
Yeah.
They're very small models. These are frigate-sized ships. This actually, you might be familiar with the design. This is the one that I built in 10mm scale for a display piece. So one of these, the Avenger, the beast, that crazy project, is 3 meters long in 10mm scale. But in Dropfleet, this is about 6 centimeters long.
Yeah. Well, I have the minis here if you want just to check them out. So this is the strike cruisers.
Strike carriers. Yeah.
Sorry, strike carriers. Andy, what do they do in game? What's the reason for kind of deploying these bad boys?
Right. We touched on the fact that getting your troops down onto the ground is a key part of the game. Your objectives are very often to capture cities and so on that are actually on the tabletop. As Dave mentioned, there's a couple of ways you can get troops there. The strike carrier is the one to get deep into enemy territory because, as you can see by the sleek design, they can actually go atmospheric. They can get into the atmosphere. Most ships can't get into the atmosphere in Dropfleet. If they end up in the atmosphere, they die. which can happen due to damage, orbital decay happening to them. So these guys...
Well, hang on. This is another cool rule. let me just stop you there. So there are these layers. So you have high orbit, low orbit, atmosphere, and then obviously stuff that's going on the ground.
Yep.
And, you like, if you can imagine, your big battleship, for whatever reason, you might take it into low orbit. You may be chasing after something.
Bombard target,
bombarding.
Yep.
However, when you're there, if they put damage on you, there is certain types of damage that just cause you to start to fall.
Yes.
If you're in high orbit, you'll come down, but you still have time. Scotty's on board. He can
fix it.
He might fix it. But if you're already in low orbit, you've got to think twice.
Got one shot at it, and then you're into low orbit, burning up.
Then there goes your dreadnought. So it's quite a thing you have to be careful of.
Yeah, it is just awesome.
And of course, ships that can operate in atmosphere are incredibly hard to hit from orbit.
Yeah, shooting through atmosphere is like shooting through soup compared to shooting through space.
Don't work very well. So basically, they're a bit like submarines in a way. Once they can scuttle into position and dive into the atmosphere, they're going to be incredibly hard to get rid of. And from there, they can start dropping troops, tanks onto objectives. Not a lot of them, not very fast. These guys are for taking a point and holding it until reinforcements can arrive.
Until some of your really big deployment ships can come in and drop
what
off
we call motherships in the game, which are the ones that are the bulk carriers. Then they have bulk landers, so they can land a lot of troops at once. They can't go into atmosphere, though. They can only go into low orbit. They're kind of vulnerable. So they're very much a second wave. I mean, you can throw them in the first wave, Russian style if you prefer. But really, these guys are your elite dropships, or rather, for getting your elite dropships into place is the role of the strike carriers.
Yeah, and these get round ground defences much more effectively than bulk landers. Bulk lander is a big meat crate, effectively, and very easy to stop. So great for occupying an empty city or one you've already taken, and you're going to put in lots more troops. But these are your frontline assault. To the big fatty now.
Yeah, next up we have the Beijing class battleship.
Yeah, so minis wise, this is the other end of the scale.
Yeah, so there you go. There's a kind of a size comparison. So Dave, when are you going to build one of these at 10 mil scale?
People keep asking me. It's not going to happen.
What, 9 meters long?
Yeah, something like that in 10 mil.
Yeah,
it's in
piece of cake.
In terms of
old money, folks.
Yeah, in terms of real scale, now our big ships are they're big things. Yeah. But they're not like your 15-mile long kind of implausibly vast ships. They're a mile or two for the really big ships. That gives you an idea of what you're talking about there.
Are beautiful, even down to being able to magnetize the turrets. I love all this, almost like cities hanging underneath.
Yeah, it gives you a sense of the vastness of them, makes them feel like a flying city, which is what a battleship is. A battleship is a formidable asset on the table, but it has its downsides. They're slow, they're not very maneuverable, they have a huge signature. There's a bit of all your eggs in one basket thing. There's reasons to take different classes and different sizes of ships in the game, and this is important. The mixed arms approach, again, is here. So a whole fleet of frigates or a whole fleet of battleships is not going to serve you very well.
Yeah, you need that balance.
You're best off with a mixed, balanced, even fleet.
Well, next up we're on to the kind of the cruisers here. So this is the Moscow class cruiser. I can just show you the model for that. Let me just move this stuff out of the way.
Yeah, this is your standard size. A cruiser is the benchmark size miniature.
Yeah.
It's a good size ship, not humongous, but this particular one is a heavy cruiser, so it has additional turrets on the top there. Yeah. This is actually it's probably a good time to talk about the plastic sprues and things.
Absolutely.
So because I've they're magnetized.
They're magnetized, so let me just pop there we go. Yeah.
Because I knew with these that I was designing for plastic from day one.
Yeah.
Because the drop zone stuff was designed for resin and then adapted for plastic later on.
Yeah.
To try and stay faithful to the original resins, so it's very hard to tell the difference. These were designed for plastic from the beginning, which, as a designer, it gives me a lot of tools that I can use. So modularity is a big one. So you get a lot of components on the UCM cruiser sprue, for example. This is a good example for that.
Yeah.
You can build everything from heavy cruisers, light cruisers, fleet carriers, motherships.
Well, I have some options here. So let me just move these out of the way a little bit. So this is the Moscow class cruiser here. Okay.
Yeah, that's the heavy.
That's the heavy.
Yeah.
You have this one here, which is the light cruiser.
That's the standard cruiser.
Standard
That's probably the most vanilla cruiser the UCM has. This is all turrets, standard cruiser setup. This is one of your benchmark ships.
And then, of course, we have this bad boy here that you have to have a look at. I'm going to point something out on this one. Look at this, right? This is going to change your gaming life, this one component. I'm going to bring up a picture so you guys can see it in a bit more detail. Check that out. So this is the Berlin class that has a... what is the name of that weapon, Dave?
This is the burn-through laser, this thing.
Andy, tell us about the burn-through laser.
Okay, burn-through laser is very, very simple. Just like any other weapon in the game, you roll your lock number or higher to hit with it.
Yeah.
And if you get 2 above your lock number, then it's critical, which will bypass enemy armor. The wrinkle with the burn-through is that if you hit with it, you roll again. If you hit with it, you roll again. And if you hit with it, you roll again. And you keep going until you fail.
Yeah.
Basically. Whenever, if and when you manage to roll a critical and it starts bypassing armor, all subsequent hits will bypass the armor as well.
Yeah. So
they're great against heavily armored ships, so they can hammer away at them and just like burn straight through them and keep doing damage.
Yeah, it's very cinematic. As for me personally, the consummate roller of ones, it's not the best of weapons.
Yeah, you have
a modicum of luck.
You need to get a laser and charge your dice.
It's a very powerful weapon to use against big ships with fantastic armor saves, things like dreadnoughts.
Because there's also the whole mechanic of the critical roll. You have a kind of like a standard 2-hit score.
Yep.
But if you score 2 above that,
yep,
it's a critical roll, so they don't get any armor save whatsoever.
Yeah, there's no roll to damage. Basically, if you hit them, you damage them automatically. The defense that people get is they get an armor save against most incoming damage, all incoming damage, unless it's been a critical hit, where you get a couple above the lock number that you needed, and that just bypasses armor.
Yeah. Now, one of the beauties, though, for the burn-through laser is if you get that critical hit at the start...
Yep, every single hit will be a critical
following hit is considered critical.
Sixes with it.
Yeah, because you're through the armor at that point, and you're down into the decks and things.
Yeah.
Chewing through the guts of it.
Yeah.
So they're very potent on that front.
Yeah, so always find out what your best behaved dice is, okay? Keep it to one side, put it in a nice padded box, and whenever you get your burn-through lasers right onto their target, you carefully open the box in front of your opponent, watch him go pale, and then
it's also quite an unwieldy thing in that it's front narrow arc. So you have it's less.
You need to get your nose on.
It's a less flexible weapon system than the turrets.
Yeah.
No, UCM are very heavily turret based, and in terms of rules, the UCM are the most kind of obvious fleet when it comes to learning how many dice you have. Things you can see the turrets, and each turret equates to a certain number of dice, so it's very obvious. What you've got with the UCM.
Now, the other thing about it is, as you've said, Dave, right? Let me just bring these up again. So we have 3 variants, but these variants are all coming from the same sprue. You've designed this from the outset to be modular.
Yeah.
Can you expand on that a bit? So.
Well, we've got later on. We have a few concept ones to show you, a few renders that show you even more options than this. You've got a lot more options. This frame at the moment will build something like 35 different variants.
Yeah.
It's one of our remaining tasks when it comes to writing the fleet list is to decide which of those variants you can actually officially build in the rules, because there won't be 35 different cruiser classes. There'll probably be more like 10 or 15.
Yeah.
Something like that. But
for the moment.
Yeah. For the moment. For the level of variation, though, and of course, you're going to have a ton of spare parts as well, which is great for conversions and homebrew and all that kind of thing, which I'm very much in favour of.
Well, I've got to say, and I will remind you both that, yes, this is currently your game, but you see when you release it, it becomes our game. And so if I want to make myself a big-ass ship of death, and then as long as my opponents agree, because I'll let him build one as well, we could point that up ourselves.
Absolutely, or if you want to have your asteroid of death studded with all those spare turrets that you use.
Gravitationally towed into
all those
position.
Kind of things. Yeah, because you will build up a decent spare parts draw from these plastics.
Yeah.
And same goes for the frigates as well, which because the New Orleans, the strike carrier, is just one of the different frigate variants you can build.
I actually have a picture of the kind of the fleet. So if you check this one out.
Yeah, so this gives you a bit of an idea of the relative sizes and things there. You've got some strike carriers, you've got a heavy cruiser, 2 different variants of the cruiser and the battleship. These painted ones we have here, that's those models.
And then I also have this bad boy here, Dave.
This is the back end of the Beijing there, so you can see all the engine burn.
The battleship.
Yeah, this is the battleship.
Okay, and then we have some renders. What's this one?
Yeah, so this is another one of the options. This is orbital bombardment weaponry here. You've got those which replace your front turrets. Orbital bombardment has to be done from low orbit, so you've got to go down there and get in the mix to use it. Obviously, that blows stuff up on the ground. Very simple, very easy to understand by launching big, heavy lumps of tungsten-coated lead down there. This is another one of the. So you notice all the cruisers have got a top section to the engine mounts here. This one is the fleet carrier. So normally you'd stick on the turret mount version on here, and this would cover this area. But when you glue on these, which have a nice big hole, you can see the actual little fighters and the bombers inside.
Yeah, I'm saying I can actually
inside
see
there. You can actually, you can actually see the launch assets as part of the miniature, which is nice. I mean, they are very, 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 very small.
Are you really going to be able to pull that off?
Oh
in
yeah,
plastic,
yeah. No, you will see those. You will see those on the parts.
It's worth mentioning the lasers next to it as well.
Oh yeah, these are point defense weaponry. Here.
Let me just go back here.
We'll go back one. Yeah. So these are, if you're familiar with Drop Zone at all, this is the Aegis orbital defense layers in Drop Zone.
Which is one of the
terrain the big terrain piece. This is one of the biggest. In fact, the biggest model that we sell at the moment is the ODL for Drop Zone. And this is just one of them. And the cruiser has many, many of them. You can see there's more of them down here. They're on there. They're actually in scale. So you can see the relative size, and if you own one, you can go, wow, that's like that. So whoa. Yeah, and the Dreadnought and the Battleship has banks of these things on the side. And
now this one, what is this?
So here, this is the mothership that we're talking about. So this thing carries bulk landers. So this big lump down here, this holds huge numbers of infantry and specialist drop assets, things like anti-air batteries, anti-ship batteries and things. This can deploy those to the surface as well. It doesn't have that many guns. It just has the 2 rear turrets, the smaller caliber ones at the back, and it replaces the big fat turrets with this pod here that carries bulk landers. This is one of the frigate variants on the right. So the frigates will have a plastic sprue, just like the cruisers, which will be able to build a variety of different frigates. So these are, for the UCM, this is deep space one, so most of the UCM small ships can't go atmospheric. This actually has a different spine, and it has some of the spires underneath that you can't see in this particular picture, but it's more in keeping with the rest of the UCM orbital assets. This one is the regular gun one, so it has multiple turrets.
Okay, and then next up, what are we looking at here?
Here we have, these are 2 interesting ones. We have the missile frigate, which is probably a good time for Andy to talk about close action weapons, actually, which is what this thing has lots of.
Here we are. Close action weapons, there's a category of weapons we call close action weapons, which are missile swarms and cross missile swarms, that kind of thing. Short range torpedoes, like short range guns as well, potentially can be in there, like shotgun like weapons and so forth. Anything that you couldn't actually hit something thousands and thousands and billions of kilometers away with counts as a close action weapon. They only work with it when you're within scan range of your target, but they are quite vicious. They roll a lot of dice. They often have a randomized number of dice to see how many shots you managed to get off in the brief period of time you got to fire with them. They are very, very good for small ships attacking bigger ships because they can pack an awful lot of firepower in. The downside to them is that they get countered by point defense, the ODLs and so forth that you can see studying all those things. That's the point defense. That can actually shoot down close action damage before it gets applied to the target ship. So one of the dirtiest and earliest tactics people learn is using missile frigates to sneak up on a large opposing ship by using silent running and then jump out and go,
Yeah, you need lots of them, though, because obviously the bigger the ship, the more point defense they have. So if you're going to chip away with little ships, you need a good squadron of them, and rolling a lot of dice because bigger ships have
it must be said. But
the bigger ships do have a ton of point defense, which is key. And getting onto point defense, actually, if you go back to the previous image quickly, getting onto point defense. This is what the flak frigate, its placeholder name at the moment.
Yeah,
flak frigate for the UCM, which has tons of those orbital defense lasers all over it.
Yeah,
you can see them all on the underside there, and there's the same on the top face. So these are very much escort frigates. They provide additional point defense dice to your other ships.
Yeah, you park it alongside, and it'll give a ton of bonus point defense.
So
dice.
if I want to try and get my big motherships to a point, park these things.
Give them a bit of escorting stuff from flak frigates will help.
It won't help you against turrets and burn throughs and stuff like that.
It'll stop you getting jumped on.
Basically, anything that countermeasures, because countermeasures is huge in drop zone. Countermeasures see their place in Dropfleet with these close action weapons, because in the background, as long as you're anything beyond that scan range, the countermeasures will just destroy them. They have no chance of getting through. Once you get close, the countermeasures might stop them, which is where all these countermeasure dice come in.
Okay. Next up.
This is one of the Kickstarter exclusives. This is just a preview shot, not the whole ship, just a piece of it. This is a UCM battlecruiser front end. Now, a battlecruiser is a cruiser tonnage-ish ship. It's a bit bigger than a cruiser, but it packs battleship level weaponry.
Yeah, you're not joking there, Dave. How many turrets is on that?
You've got 4 big turrets down there. I mean, what you can't see in this shot is that the heavy cruiser has 4 of these. Yeah. So this is the same armament that the heavy cruiser has, and 2 of the smaller turrets at the back. But the battlecruiser also has launch capacity as well for fighters and bombers.
Right.
And it is tougher, but it doesn't pack any more point defense than a regular cruiser, so it's quite vulnerable against missiles, things like that. But it makes an excellent flagship, and if and when you back the Kickstarter, that would make your first flagship, because the battleships won't be out at that point.
Yeah.
So battlecruisers are fantastic for dishing a lot of damage for their points. You just got to be careful about how you use them.
And I have a tail end shot here.
It's a tail end of the light cruiser for the UCM. So this loses those distinctive fins at the back, and also loses the turret mounts on the rear, and becomes quite a bit thinner, so it's a bit sleeker and a bit smaller. The light cruisers are a little bit faster, cheaper in points, obviously, but just don't pack quite the same level of punch.
Yeah.
But then you don't need to go weapons free quite so much with them, because you've only really got the 1 turret battery at the front, so it won't be picking up spikes very much.
Yeah.
It's quite an efficient way of killing off certain things, but just lacks ultimate punch that the bigger classes have.
Yeah, they're good for bullying frigates with. In particular.
Yeah.
Okay, we're very fortunate actually in the studio to have some of the first Scourge stuff through as well, Dave. So, what are we looking at here?
So this is that's a standard Scourge cruiser from the front. The Scourge, actually, design-wise, they've been the most time-consuming beast to design.
Yeah.
Modular, organic plastic kit. They've taken me a very, very long time, but I'm very happy with the results.
I have overheard that the design file for one Scourge ship alone was bigger than all the UCM stuff combined.
Yeah, it was the Scourge cruiser file. Yeah, it's bigger. The file size for that is bigger than the entire UCM drop zone range.
Now, do we have this ship here?
We have a slight variant on that. That's that's got missiles on the front. The Scourge. One of the things about playstyles between the factions is there are different weapons that certain factions have access to, and the UCM don't have a missile cruiser, whereas the Scourge do. But we have a burn-through one here.
This is the same ship, different angle, is it?
Yeah, this is different weapon option here.
Yeah.
So this one has some energy weapons at the front, which is a ranged turret equivalent weapon. So this has got a bit more reach. This would be your vanilla Scourge cruiser, this one here. It's all guns.
Well, let's show you the mini. Let's show you the mini.
These minis, actually, these are the first models that I've painted for 2 years.
Yeah.
More than 2 years, actually. I'm going to be getting on for 3 years now, because I painted the original drop zone range, and I haven't painted models since.
Here we have
had some fun on these.
I love it's like an almost pearlescent feel that you've given to these.
Yeah, it's got a very organic kind of almost. I was going for a little bit of kind of beetle armor feel, because I mean in drop zone the Scourge.
Show you the underside.
Yeah, you have a different belly thing going on there.
Fish belly.
Yeah, with with the Scourge and Drop Zone are purple, but because the UCM fleet is grey, that doesn't make for much contrast. So I was looking for a new colour scheme for the fleet assets for the Scourge, and I did a lot of experiments with a lot of spare parts, and eventually narrowed it down to this.
Yeah, it's such a beautiful, beautiful design. We have some variants.
Yeah, different variants here.
So...
This is actually a thing with the Scourge ships specifically, is you can pose them, which is very unusual for spaceships. Beyond just turning turrets, they're actually posable. So these two are a good pair to put next to each other.
So let's get them into shot.
So these are both cruiser, right? They're both cruisers. This one here is a mothership. You can see underneath there is the big pod. This is the equivalent to the UCM one with the big pod that we showed you earlier. That carries Bulklanders, Scourge equivalent of. But you can see how
this almost like whale baleen kind of
thing. Yeah,
that's on the jaw.
That's because that one doesn't have the guns at the front.
Yeah.
So you leave the guns off, but there's still detail underneath where you would put the guns.
Yeah.
But you can see here, if you look at them from the front, you can see how very different they look. Just because of posing. These fins at the back, they're all on rocking mounts. So you can really play around with them and make your ships look different just by posing them.
Yeah.
Which is nice. It's a Scourge thing that the Scourge ships specifically have. The frigates have mountable fins that can move on ball joints and stuff. So it really keeps the Scourge fleet with that slightly organic feel. Although, importantly, in the background, Scourge ships are made. They're not living ships. They're not bio ships. They're manufactured things, but they just look organic.
Yeah.
You know.
Okay.
We've got the Scourge Heavy here.
Yeah.
Scourge Heavy Cruiser. That has an additional crest at the front.
Yeah.
With extra weapon systems. We're exploring a few interesting rules mechanics that are specific to the Scourge Heavy as well, which makes them very sneaky, actually, as far as the Scourge go. But we're still playing around with that, so I don't want to talk about that one too much. But
of course,
it's going to have additional funness going on.
Yeah.
Scourge Heavies, and this is the Scourge Light Cruiser. The Scourge Light Cruiser, a bit sleeker. Unlike the UCM Light Cruiser, it's just as well armed as the regular cruiser, but it lacks hull points, so it's somewhat easier to kill. This one has missiles at the front, close action weapons, which is very vicious on a cruiser because that's going to be a lot of dice. That's going to dish the pain.
And this is the same approach, Dave, where they're all the one sprue builds a ton of different varieties.
Yeah, the one sprue will build all of these, and as well as a few other ones, which we'll show you on the screen as well. So you can really build a variety of different ships.
Well, let me bring up on the screen some of the other stuff that I have. So, what are we looking at here?
So this is the fleet carrier for the Scourge. So the UCM one with the launch assets. This is the equivalent. So this replaces some of the rear fins with this big hive down the side, and you can imagine the fighters and the bombers swarming out from the hive to dish the pain.
And then next up we have this one.
Oh, this is the mothership. Yeah, so you can see it up. You can see it up close. The baleen thing that Warren was on about. You can see that clearer here.
And then I believe this is the last one I have.
Oh yeah, there's a couple of different loadouts. That's a standard cruiser with missiles. Whether we actually let players do that or not remains to be seen. Yeah. This is a heavy with burn-through lasers. So the Scourge have burn-through lasers too. It's not just a UCM specific thing. Yeah. So that these two fangs at the front are the burn-through lasers for the Scourge, and that's actually a heavy because it has the crest on it as well. So that one has multiple weapons.
Well, guys, it looks absolutely stunning. So, Dave, what's the proposed date for the Kickstarter?
So, proposed launch is the 30th of October, and it'll wind up on the 2nd of December. Yeah, that's going to be the run.
Guys, as always, as and when we can, we'll bring you more news on the development of the game. Watch out for the Kickstarter. Hopefully, by around that time, we might be able to actually show off some of the playthrough of this, and yeah, it's going to be great. Look, huge thanks to both of you coming on to the show. Good luck with the Kickstarter, and we can't wait to catch up with you again soon. Okay.
Thank you very much.
And let me tell you about some hubs.
Keep your blaster handy. The West is a dangerous place. Fight to survive as men turn to monsters and the dead rise on the Wild West Exodus Hub at beastsofwar.com. In a world controlled by massive corporations, a steady aim and split-second decisions are needed for your Megacon to complete its goals. Begin your missions at the Mercs Hub on beastsofwar.com.
Hi guys, welcome back.
This has me excited. I looked at those Scourge ships and it was just me going, I want.
I feel the same way about the UCM ships. I love the utilitarianism.
They've got that brittle feel to them.
And the real thing for me is, if they get these into the plastics, right? All those spare components.
Yeah.
Oh,
you know, it's one of the things that that Drop Zone Commander kind of lacked for me was the ability to do kind of conversions and stuff like that, because it was resin. It only came with the bits that it came with, and you know, but this game with all those spare components, all those turrets, I can totally see us doing some interesting things. Like, you know, I made mention in the segment about doing a fully loaded out asteroid base space station with all the turrets and stuff.
That would be really cool.
Imagine a weapon like that being towed into orbit. You know, I can see something like that being done for the Resistance.
Yeah. I had jokingly said to Andy and Dave, you know, if you have all these spare parts, why don't you just tell people make your own ships for Resistance and just throw a profile together? And they sort of chuckled and went,
It's
might be a way to
I can totally see it. It's
it's going to be one of those games, because Dave has never done anything bad. I've never seen anything bad come out of Hawk Wargames.
Well, you know,
Dave is very particular about what he wants to do with the games and the miniatures.
Because he's doing all the design, everything is exactly just so.
However, you know, for me, the partnership with Andy Chambers has added a whole new dynamic to this.
You're bringing a guy with so much experience on board.
And you know, and he has experience stretching way back. You know, let's be honest. This game is so good because of Battlefleet Gothic. You know, he has learned not only what works with Battlefleet Gothic, but what didn't work so well with Battlefleet Gothic, and how to take that whole experience and make it feel more modern. You know, one of the you know, there was moments during the point where I was being taken through the demonstration of the game and chatting about the core mechanics, and in my mind I was going, oh, yes, no charts. I love the fact that there's no charts. You know, charts were a great device in the past for working out, you know, variable damage rates and stuff like that there. But these days, you know, there are other slicker ways of doing that don't require the charts.
See, I love that spike scan mechanic.
Yes.
Where you're sort of on an elastic band of what's happening around you. So, he's just fired all his guns. I can see him. Hit him now before he does it again.
Yeah, there's a real sense of urgency, doesn't it? You know, it's you feel there's the emotional aspect of the game is quite interesting to me, because one, you feel like an admiral. You know that you've got thousands of troops and hardware and stuff in. You're driving to get them in there, but you don't want to lose them either, because you lose it. It'll decapitate you more than losing your main command ship or something like that. And then you have that whole intensity of, the more aggressive I am in the game, the more likely I'm going to be lit up. So I've got to choose my time just right.
It's kind of forcing you to go, okay, tactical sense here, tactical sense. Let's not just go all guns open fire.
Yeah, although I absolutely will go all guns open fire.
You will be sitting somewhere in mid-range and just go, right, broadsides, everything go, now.
Yeah. Well, it's definitely one to watch. You know, I wish you guys the best on their Kickstarter. Let's see how they get on. I think it could be a good one. Okay, right. I am going to depart from the studio to give you guys a chance to have a chat with Thomas.
Mind if I take the hot seat?
Absolutely. Okay, so Thomas is coming in. We're going to chat about the WTC, that's the World Team Championships for Warmachine, and get him to talk a little bit. Just a little bit, because we're going to talk about a lot more tomorrow on the whole conversion series that we're working on.
Yeah, well, it's mostly the army that I want to talk about, just because it looks so cool.
Yeah, where do you check this out? In the meantime, let's tell you a little bit about the hubs on Beasts of War.
Humanity has been driven from Earth, but now it's time to take it back. Join the Reconquest and fight the Scourge on the Drop Zone Commander Hub at beastsofwar.com. From Viking halls to the cities of the future, terrain buffs will love our Foreground Hub. Watch gaming tables of all genres come to life at beastsofwar.com.
Okay, so we are joined by the Master Tom Menace himself.
Who, me?
Yes, you. Yes, you. We
What have I
have
done?
kidnapped you from Belgium.
Yeah. you did.
Welcome, welcome to the studio. We've had you in all
Thanks.
week doing some work with us, but you've recently came from the WTC.
Yeah, I did.
How did you do?
It depends a bit on how you look at it.
Yeah. Well, for those that don't know,
yeah.
it's the Warmachine Team Championship, yeah?
Warmachine and Horde World Team Championship.
There we go. Hence the spiffing team T-shirt that he's wearing.
Hey, which is a bit too tight, but yeah.
These things happen.
These things happen.
So, what is the WTC? Let us know, because I've heard it mentioned a few times, and I don't really know what goes on at it.
It is an idea that some guys had a couple of years ago, 3 years ago, well, a couple of more years ago, but 3 years ago they did it the first time, and it's a World Team Championship. So Warmachine and Hordes is a game that's usually played one-on-one, and they changed that because there were a couple of events in Europe that did that. Make it a team event, which means you go with a team of 5 persons. Each person's got their 2 lists. Each person's got their own faction with them, and you make it a team event, which means that you play 5 against 5. Before the round starts, you get a matchup process, so you see who plays against who, and which matchup is the best one. Yeah. And then you play a game. You all play the same scenario, and from those 5, the one who wins the most games, so who wins at least 3, gets to win that round. The fun thing about that is that first, you're with a team of 5 guys, which means that there's a lot more friendship between that, and you're really, you're not just working for yourself, but for your team.
Right. Now, you see, this I like, because for myself, tournaments, I've been to a few. I generally don't enjoy them because you always get that one guy at the tournament who you're sat across the table from, and it's just, my mission is to destroy you. That is my fun. You know, instead of just coming in and going, hey, how's it going, mate? You having fun today? You know, things like that. But we have some images from it. So, John, if you want to start bringing them up here, yes, Thomas, you can talk us through what we're seeing.
Right. I shall pick this one at random out of the hat.
Okay. So,
well, this is the main hall. This is the hall where the WTC was held. As you can see, it's always tables like these are tables where 5 guys are sitting against 5 guys. You can actually recognize them because everybody's got, which I like about the event, everybody's got spiffing team T-shirts. Like these are the Americans, as you can see by the stars and the stripes. There's the Australians. So everybody's got their own T-shirts made up, which is a cool sort of mini contest to see who has the coolest T-shirts.
Hang on. Gamers are getting into fashion design?
No.
What black sorcery is this?
Gamers are getting
wrong.
No. Gamers are into T-shirts. You should know that T-shirts make the gaming world go around. It's the currency in the gaming world. Who has got the coolest T-shirt at an event?
I think at this table has to be John, simply because he's got his bombshell on.
Yes,
true.
Yes, I do. And that became a Facebook sensation for a couple of weeks.
Yeah, that was funny. All right, so if we move on to the next image, let's see what else we have here. So what have we got?
Yep, I'll throw another one up here for you.
Right, so, oh my God!
This guy,
he is... What the hell?
This guy is huge.
He is. His nickname is actually Gigantor.
Yeah. Really?
Yeah, he is. He's from Team Australia, as you can see by the nice kangaroo rolling a die here.
Yeah.
He's a pretty big guy. There was one guy who was even bigger than that, by the way. But
But I mean, like, I would play against this man, and I would be nervous of killing his unit.
You'd be nervous of not offering him a drink if you beat him.
That's common courtesy.
Well, yeah.
Funny thing that in the Warmachine community, out of those top players, there's a lot of players who are actually really into fitness and into weightlifting and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Our team captain, for example, he lifts weights at home just to keep in shape. So the classic image of like me, the gamer with a pot belly and usually with a beard.
Dying off a lot. So
you don't see it over there.
You have the beard, and I have the pot belly. So
together you're the perfect gamer.
Okay, this is going down a very strange direction. Mr. Lyons, the next image, if you please.
Next image, please.
Hello, everybody.
I'll show you a bit of a tech setup that was going on.
Yes. Now, this is something that you were talking to me about, Thomas.
Yeah.
You had a couple of people there who are live streaming the event. So who are these guys?
Well, these are the guys. That's a team coming from America. 3 websites: News on Minis, Chain Attack, and Enter the Crucible. If I get it correctly. If I don't, sorry guys. And they teamed up to do live streaming of the event. So. As you had seen in the first picture, there was a stage, and on the stage were 2 rows of tables.
Right.
And those games were streamed. Now, one of them was streamed by the German guys from page5.de.
Okay, I think we have an image of them as well, do we not, John?
Yeah, I think we do. Hang on.
Is this the group you're on about here? It comes up.
Yeah.
Yes, there we go.
They're the Germans, and they stream it to their Twitch account, where everybody can follow it. And they did one of the tables, because it's 5 tables at once, so they did 1 table at a time.
Yeah.
The cool thing about the other guys, about the Americans, is they brought the equipment so they could do live commentary on it. And they switched between tables. So it's like
So
they try to make it into
basically looking at it saying, okay, what's the most interesting things that are happening right now? And
exactly. And they make it into some kind of an esport. They try to make it into an esport, because a round lasts for 2 hours.
Is tabletop wargaming an esport?
What we're saying is it's an esport kind of
event.
Yeah. There's commentary on it, and they're talking like, okay, why he's doing that, and he's doing this because he wants to set it up like that, I think. And so it's really cool. And actually, the final match, it was watched by I think about 900 people worldwide live.
That's not bad.
Not bad at all.
For a war game.
Yeah.
For a war game, it's incredible how advanced it's getting.
It's one of those things I love, because I mean, like years ago, you would never have heard of the ET.
No.
And these days, there's so much interconnectivity out there on the web that just everything is available to you if you go out hunting for it. I mean, it's the one thing I love about us here at Beast of War. We cover so much stuff.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, I would love to get to an event like this to actually do some coverage of it, because I think it would be a lot of fun.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Because there's a lot of specialized websites who are mostly interested in Warmachine, like Muse on Minis and like Page5, and they actually do Kickstarters to get the money to get all their equipment over to Europe. It's really brilliant. And that's one of the fun things about the WTC, I think. It's completely community driven. The Privateer Press doesn't have anything to do with it. It's all by a committee of players, and they like playing the game so much that they decided to organize a game. And the entire world, well, the entire Warmachine world rallied behind it and sent teams over. We've got teams from the USA, 2 teams from USA, from Australia, from China, from the Middle East, from all over Europe. There were, I think, 50 teams at this event, which is huge, from all over the world.
If it's 50 teams of 5 guys each, that's a lot of people.
He's not going to do the maths on camera.
250.
250.
Sorry. All right. Fine. All right.
All right. Well, do we have any other images there, John, that we can have a quick chat about?
Let's look at some Americans.
Oh, so hang on. What gave it away that this is our American team? Or is he, actually, Thomas, is he correct? Is this your American team?
These are the Americans,
why.
these are the Americans.
We guessed that.
It's the Stars and the Stripes that give it away a bit.
So,
just a little.
Was there an award for best T-shirt, or was there a sort of an attitude, who had the best T-shirt?
It started from the beginning. There was actually an award for the best T-shirt, I think. But it started from the first time that... That's the fun about this. It's a world team championship. So instead of coming over and playing for yourself and trying to be as good as you can be, people are coming over and they are trying to represent their country. And it's a big deal, like for the Americans to be able to represent their country at an event like that.
Well, I mean,
it's an honor.
There's a lot of national pride too.
And people are rooting for their team. I mean, from the guys in my gaming club, if you see it on Facebook, they're all following your games. They're staying up late at night to see the live coverage of the games and to go hunting on websites if that guy or that guy has won. There's a live website that keeps the score of every game live.
So they're just sitting there, F5, F5, F5.
Yeah.
You won!
Yeah, exactly. It's amazing, and that's why the T-shirts come into play, because you want to, be a representative of your
that uniform, that national. I am from here. Say hello.
I have to admit that the T-shirts get a bit over the top, if I can say it like that. I mean, this is the Belgian T-shirt. I wouldn't wear it at home, to be honest. You wear it over there. I don't think these guys will go around like that.
Are you sure?
No, I'm not sure.
That is a very, very American T-shirt. I imagine they would go about quite happily in that.
Yeah, okay, maybe. And at the event, which is also a fun thing, is that there's a bit of T-shirt trading going on. So after the event, like
some people like
they're switching
a Frenchman
jerseys.
walking away with an American shirt.
Yeah, they're switching jerseys actually. So the guy you played against in the last round, or some guy you played against, and you had a really fun game. You ask afterwards, can we trade jerseys? Which is a fun thing because then you get to the prizes, and then you get, for example, Team Finland. They won. Coming on stage, and some of them are wearing their T-shirt from Team Finland, but some of them are wearing different T-shirts at that moment.
So all of a sudden,
a bit confusing.
Who won?
It's an international team now.
Yeah, true.
But no, it does look like a really fun event. Do we have anything else, John?
I'll show a couple more of the tables, I think.
Yeah, because I like what Thomas was saying earlier, because as you can see here, you have your scenario play. So it isn't just that meat grinder that you sometimes get at a tournament where every game is just kill, 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 kill.
Yeah.
I imagine that's not normally what you see at a Warmachine tournament. But
it is. Tournaments are always with certain scenarios, and it's each round there's one scenario that's played by everybody, and they keep on.
Now you see, I like that because it puts everyone on a level footing per round, because everybody has to be good at a particular scenario. Yeah.
So true.
It keeps you on your toes. It's what I like about Warmachine as a game, is that it isn't just a meat grinder. There are those scenarios where you're having to think outside the box. And suddenly it's not about killing someone, it's about holding them up.
True. True, absolutely.
He's getting me enthused here. So I'm like,
but John, your enthusiasm for Warmachine goes in waves, because you always like it, but just once in a while you're like, I must play! I must play! Then I have to paint it. Then I must play. Then I have to paint it. That's the way it goes. Yeah. But it is one of those games out there that it's dear to my heart, because I used to always play it in England. Unfortunately, I haven't been able to get to play it in a long time. I've been trying to get John to play with me.
I can't settle on a faction.
I know, because it's...
There's
I like Menath. Oh, I like Khador. Wait.
Everyone keeps saying I'm a Khador player.
You are.
But we have some convergence in the studio that I've been looking at going...
Yes. Indeed.
I'm all about my steampunk stuff as well, so you never know what could happen.
I have a convergence starter set sitting built and painted at home. Fully painted.
I can't play with it because I didn't paint it.
Okay.
You get the same problem that I have.
Exactly. Yeah. We understand what this is about.
Well,
I'd rather play with unpainted miniatures than with painted
by someone else.
Absolutely.
Exactly.
That's
why we can never commission an army, can we?
No, we can't.
I tell you what, we're getting on to talking about painting.
Yes.
But I want to save that for the backstage show. So, guys, I think we'll move back and take a quick hub break here, and we will see you Sunday morning with Thomas for a chat about some of the stuff he's been building and converting. See you then.
Become a general of mighty armies at the Kings of War Hub. Take command of elves, dwarves, and orcs in this game of massed fantasy combat on beastsofwar.com. Flames of War brings you the battles of World War II in epic 15mm scale. Go to the hub on beastsofwar.com to find news, tactics, and tutorials about the game.
What a cool event.
Yeah. It looks like just a really, really friendly event. You know, the way you go to some events and it's just, my only mission is to beat you kind of thing. This feels a lot more friendly the way Thomas was describing it.
Yeah, it's it's really, really nice when the community put on events like that. There's that, and there's obviously the European Team Championships for 40k, and then Adapticon, of course. Amazing events, completely put together by the community, for the community. That's exactly how it should be.
I also like the fact that they live streamed it with the top tables just being live streamed and fit to be changed.
Really good work on that. Really good work on that.
Can we get Beast of War t-shirts like that? Can we get Team BOW t-shirts?
Well, we'll get rugby t-shirts, will we?
Yeah. They're the only ones that will fit.
Demand a Beast of War
fit the frames of our staff.
Okay, right. We've reached that time of the show. It's time to talk a bit about some Kickstarters.
And we have some large ones going on at the minute.
And a couple of small ones.
Indeed.
Because what I've been saying to the team is we really need, when we're doing these Kickstarters, I want at least one Kickstarter that'll surprise you. Okay? Because we all know about some of the big ones that are going on, but I want to see some of the little ones.
Yeah.
What do you think?
Well, I think we'll start off with one of the big ones, and we'll move through, And I do have one in here that's a little one that might surprise you.
Okay, what have we got up first?
First up is actually Mantic are running their Warpath Kickstarter at the minute.
Okay.
Now this is one of those ones that you know is going to blow up.
Yes.
You know it's going to go big.
Well, they're doing well, aren't they?
They are. I love these jetpacks that they have in.
Yeah.
I absolutely love those. But the one that has really caught us is the flyer they've done for these guys. So we've got the artwork.
Yeah.
And I believe I have the mini here as well. Fully painted.
Really?
Look at it.
Ooh.
Oh, hello.
Is that not just the shiniest thing?
It is kind of funky.
I like it.
It is kind of funky.
I really like it.
It's one of those ones that I'm really looking forward to seeing it in real life.
Yeah.
You know, just to see what it's like. One of the things that really interests me in Warpath is, you know, it's like 2 games now. Okay, you've got Warpath 2.0 and Firefight.
Yep.
I might be wrong, but I don't think I am. So Firefight is more your individual men. And every man counts, and you're removing models and stuff like that there. So you're more skirmish kind of 40k kind of thing.
Yeah, every man counts.
Which is fine. Which is fine. But one of the things that Mantic are known for is obviously big games.
Yeah.
Okay? You know, Kings of War is one of the most beautiful, scalable fantasy set of rules.
You can play an
out there.
18-foot table game in an afternoon.
I've never tried it. I'm certainly keen to try it.
They have done it at their open days.
Well, then there you go. I really like the idea of where they're heading with Warpath to start doing big games. And that's where I get to this. Because as impressive as that is, and I really like the artwork. Can you bring the artwork up?
Yeah.
Because they've designed this to be a kind of a modular kind of thing. Everything in the Warpath universe is quite modular. So if you have a look at this, you actually see that whole troop carrying thing? Yeah. That's a modular add-on.
Yeah.
So you
bit like your drop pod thingy that you made for your guard air cav. So it's like a bit that you can just bolt onto the ship and say it's now a troop carrier.
Yeah. But they've built this ship that it can be configured in different configurations for different tasks and stuff on the battlefield. Now where that becomes interesting is, and we know that Mantic's pricing is not going to be a huge barrier to doing this.
You're going to get your plastic.
You know, lots of them. That's where this really starts to get interesting, because then, depending on how the rules and all shape out, you know, you're into highly maneuverable deployment, redeployment type style game.
Well, these particular ones you're seeing jump out of the back of this airplane are actually jumping out midair.
Yes.
So you can have your airdrops, or you can have it land and drop guys out. So you've got a couple of nice tactical options there.
Yeah, it's a great piece of art. More importantly, though, it doesn't matter how cool the model is. Ultimately, it'll be interesting to see how awesome we can do stuff on the tabletop, because that's what we want on a big game like that. You just want the rules to get out of the way and let you do awesome cinematic moments.
Yeah.
So. You know, I really am looking forward to it.
Yeah, the other thing is, I think this is actually showing us a change in the colour scheme for the Enforcers. Because if you look at this next one, you'll actually see some of the main troops have been redone in this colour scheme.
Yes.
Which I like more than the older one.
Yeah. Well, the thing about the Enforcers is you could always pick your own colour scheme, so there was never really anything to say you must paint it this way.
Yeah, but this particular one, it looks very, very corporate.
Yeah.
You know, it's very much... These are our guys, you know where they come from.
Yeah.
The thing is that Mantic doesn't seem to be an overly big fan of saying our House Enforcer army will be one colour scheme. It will be one, for lack of a better phrase, chapter or specific division. So they like to change it up a bit now and again.
Before we move on, can I have one more look at the bikes?
Yeah, I have a different image of the bikes.
Oh, you've got a different image
slightly
of the bikes.
bigger.
Okay. Oh, there we go.
Those are beautiful, aren't they?
They are nice.
It's got sort of that Star Wars indoor speeder look to it, which I really love.
With the front little winglets and stuff. Yeah.
I gotta say now, the combination of the bikes and the flyers.
Yeah,
this is really doing it for me now.
Yeah, and then they're actually busting through stretch goals at the minute. So they've actually got some of their characters out.
Oh right.
So you've got some for the Enforcers, some for the Forge Fathers, some for the Veermen.
Yeah.
I think it's just really, really cool.
Well, I've got to say, I've been waiting. I have been waiting to see what I'm going to pick But based on what I've seen, I'm going to go Enforcers.
You know me, Forge Fathers all the way. I like my Space Dwarfs.
What am I being left with?
Rats. Because, you can do them kind of all gritty Soviet style. So you can.
I've had enough of Soviets, Warren. Stop it.
See, I expected John to sit there and go, rats. I'm left with the rats.
Yeah.
Oh, rats.
We'll have to wait and see. But definitely, I'm already starting to think of how I can do a nice, simple, but highly effective color scheme for the Enforcer. So I'm reckoning primed white, nice dark wash potentially over it all, and then pick out red panels and stuff like that there.
I don't know. I think for me, the Forge Feathers, it's got to be heavy metal. It's got to be a true metallic paint scheme, nice and dark, oily, gritty, dirty. They're in the mines. I like it.
Yeah.
What are you going to do with your rats?
I am not painting.
You may find you have no choice.
I may find I have no choice.
Okie dokie, right. So anything more on this, or is that it?
No, that's it.
Okay, so Mantic Warpath 2.0, definitely worth checking out.
Yeah.
It'll be interesting to see where this goes.
Yeah.
Okay, what's up next?
Next in the lineup, the Battle Systems Post-Apocalyptic Terrain.
Oh, they busted it so quickly, didn't they?
Yeah, they went insanely well on it. I mean, they're already, 4 times funded?
Yes.
A little more than that?
Well, they're about, more than 4 times funded. They came out with this stuff. Now, I'm hoping to get these guys on the show next week, actually.
Yeah.
But they came out, funded within 30 minutes or something like that, and then just absolutely went for it. But, look at it. How
it's beautiful,
nice is this stuff?
Yeah. Now, I actually watched a video with Colin about this. He's actually went back and redone his clipping system.
Yes.
So now this is completely modular. So you can actually lift off floors.
Yeah.
Set them to a side, move your minis inside, put your roof back on, and it's stable.
Yeah.
100% stable. It was also showing, he put a couple of minis down, right, on a scale. Started pressing down and down and down as hard as he could on this. Took over 5 kilos of weight on it. Without breaking. Now that, I think, is impressive.
Now that is impressive. What games would you use it for?
Fallout 3.
Fallout 3?
It doesn't exist yet, but I want to make a Fallout 3 miniatures war game. What do you think, guys? Yeah?
Any post-apocalyptic, any...
Yeah, but even looking at this one, look at this one here.
Actually,
right?
I've went away.
Either of them.
Okay.
It's Ghostbusters.
Ghostbusters,
straight away. It is your paranormal exterminators. It's all there.
Yeah. That actually will work really, really well.
I can.
Yeah.
I reckon that, and are all the road tiles and stuff like that?
Yeah, you get the road tiles in it. So basically, your base pledge is I think it's a 3x3 tile.
Yeah.
With enough terrain to fill it up and make a nice multi-level terrain piece.
Yeah.
And then you expand from there. So even just adding, say, an extra mat, suddenly everything's a little shorter, a little more destroyed, and you just level out the playing field.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Another one that would be good for this. Mars Attacks.
Yeah.
Yes.
Mars Attacks would work really well.
Mars Attacks would work on that, especially with Martians and some modern combat guys picked up from Empress Miniatures. You could do some
Terminator?
really mean. Terminator could work on that as well, yeah?
So, yeah.
Well, if you were maybe doing the Genesis as a scenario.
Yeah, Terminator could work on that.
I tell you what I would also do, The Walking Dead.
Yes.
Now, how fun would that be, actually having your miniatures run around, trying to gather supplies, hordes of zombies coming at you, getting locked inside the fire station.
An outdoor dungeon crawler?
Yeah.
An outdoor dungeon crawler, yeah. That's
so, apparently it's got scatter terrain, office equipment, billboards, police stations, and loads of ruined buildings. We will hopefully find out more about that next week. We're going to try and get them on the show and get a chat to them and find out what they're planning.
I'm hoping they bring a prototype so I can have a little bit of a play about with it. Because the last time they brought it across, you remember we were in Studio One.
Yeah.
We did that nice industrial complex.
Yeah.
I want to see what I can create with this stuff.
Okay. All right. What's up next?
We'll actually have to switch sheets here for a second. Okay. The next one is another big one.
Yeah.
It's from Modiphius. Infinity's
It's
RPG.
Infinity RPG. Yes. Okay. Yes.
This I'm looking forward to.
Okay.
Simply for the fact.
Look at it funded.
Yeah.
Holy moly.
Yeah. I did say we were going for some of the bigger ones to start.
That totally shows you the pepped up demand that there has been for an Infinity RPG. And if there was ever a miniatures war game that was going to lend itself to be an RPG, it had to be Infinity.
Yeah. But don't forget, Infinity actually started out life as a homebrew RPG from the guys at Corpus Belli.
Did it really?
It did.
Are you sure?
I've spoken to Carlos about this many times.
I know that Warmachine started out as an RPG. I had no idea.
Infinity did as well.
They say if you go to the Kickstarter page for this, the video actually says that as well.
Yeah.
So.
Ooh! Yeah. Why have I not known that? I've been sitting for the past how many years talking to the guys from Infinity, and I never ever realized that, or they've told me that, and I've as usual just went
over the head.
So you know, we get this glorious moment of going us 1 Warren 245,648.
Yeah.
Okay, so what can you tell us about the game then?
Well, the game itself, as we know, Modiphius is doing it. They've got a good pedigree of doing role-playing games because they've already done a few others for other companies.
Yeah, they've very, very quickly established themselves as one of the industry superpowers in putting together RPGs.
Yeah. But in this one, we're actually seeing some miniatures come along from Corpus Belli as well. So we're seeing each faction is sort of getting their own diplomatic representative. So we've got Yujing.
Yep.
Lovely little Asian lass. We've got this guy, where is he from? Oh, Ariadna.
Yep.
And the minis actually look really nice. So here's his mini. He's good, isn't he?
Wow.
Angel's done a nice job on him.
Yeah.
So all the factions are getting them. But what I'm looking forward to more than that is actually being able to grab something from my Yujing faction, which is, ta-da! I want to roleplay that guy.
Oh, look at that.
I want to roleplay a tag?
No, that's not a tag. That's a heavy infantry.
Oh.
I want to roleplay a heavy infantry, Yan Ho, I think it's called.
Yeah.
I just rock out onto the role-playing field going, I have big gun, I have big armor, come at me.
And then you'll find all the hackers will just switch you off.
Oh.
Yeah, I'll play the hacker.
You can imagine that's it, yeah.
Anything else that we know about it? Other than the fact that it's been busting stretch goals left, right, and centre.
Like crazy. We've got 3 here that are marking out some of the pledge stretches.
Yeah.
So 100k included 8-page bonus player's guide content.
Yeah.
170 unlock Panosiana's faction book. They're currently 13k at the time of recording. Away from that, this thing's just going to go huge.
Yeah.
It's going to go absolutely huge.
Yeah. Absolutely stonking work from Modiphius there. Okay. Right. What's up next?
Next up is this. What do you think of this?
Now this is what I'm talking about. I hadn't seen this. What is it?
It's a anthropomorphic skirmish game where they have a Roman turtle. A Roman legionnaire turtle. You can see him on the screen there.
Well, that's interesting because we know that the Romans did turtle. One of their tactics was called the turtle.
Tortoise. Or testudo.
Okay. Tortoise.
Justin 2 warned.
Yes, well done,
I'm dragging
Justin.
it back.
Yes.
Slowly.
Yes. Do you know the difference between a turtle and a tortoise?
Not a clue.
You don't know what the difference is between them. Do you know the difference between a turtle and a tortoise?
One's in the sea, one's in the land?
Exactly. It's as simple as that.
Okay.
A turtle will have flippers.
Yeah.
Okay.
Do that motion again, please.
Flippers. Yeah. Okay. So it has its flippers, and it also has a really smooth shell. So yes, I do look like a turtle. So it has that and a smooth shell.
Okay.
Whereas a tortoise.
Yeah. Well, it's a little more rough and rugged.
Well,
it doesn't have flippers. It has feet.
It has feet. Is right. And it has feet, and it also has a very rough kind of a shell. Often. Until I'm proved otherwise, that's the difference. But you're absolutely right.
Okay.
The Romans, basically what it was a square or rectangle.
Yeah.
What they did is they held the shields, so there were shields all the way around the perimeter.
And across the head.
Shields across the top. And it allowed them to march forward under archer fire.
Yeah.
Or whatever it was being.
Yeah. That would have been archers or spears or slings.
And it allowed them to move forward.
And there's a couple of War Games companies that do those models as well.
Warlord do a great testudo model.
Yeah, well, I mean, like these guys in particular have just went all over the place for different types of animals. So you've got your mole, you've got a shrew.
That shrew looks like the Skaven out of Warhammer Quest.
And you've got the new bounty hunters who are all dogs.
Yeah.
And they've also done a ruined tower to actually add to your gaming table, which is quite cool.
What kind of a game is it? Is it like a skirmish game?
Yeah. It's a small skirmish game.
Go back to the Kickstarter page there for me so I can get another look at this.
Yeah. There you go. I like the Otter Mercenary.
Yeah.
He's very, very Renaissance.
Yeah, he's kind of cool. I actually quite like that.
I do like the Otter.
Yeah.
It's,
I like the fact that they're not just sticking to a very narrow set of species. Every animal that you could possibly imagine seems to be turned into sort of a human-esque shape.
Mm-hmm.
It's time for an otter fact. Okay?
Okay.
Did you know that male otters, have to shave down their antlers on stumps to keep them below 3 mil?
I'm going to call BS.
It's utterly BS. Or should I say, utterly BS?
Unfortunately, I see what he did there.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Right, anyway. Burrows and badgers.
One to check out.
You know what?
Funded?
Funded.
It's funded. It's definitely on its way.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah.
I'd like to see
how do you feel about the whole anthropomorphic?
Anthropomorphic, yeah. I'm quite content with
Disney has been doing it for decades.
Yep. True.
Yeah.
Look at Mickey Mouse.
Yeah.
Or one of my favorite cartoons was Robin Hood.
Mm-hmm. Yes, I remember
the old Disney Robin Hood.
Yeah, Robin Hood was brilliant. Disney actually have a movie in the works, which is about an anthropomorphic city. I can't remember what it's called, but it's a city full of anthropomorphic animals all wearing clothes and stuff like that. I saw a very, very short kind of teaser trailer for the thing.
Right, is this one that Savannah's going, Daddy, Daddy, Daddy?
Oh, yeah, well, I was going. And the reason I was going, oh, got to watch it, is because there was anthropomorphic rhinos in it, which reminded me of the rhinos out of Robin Hood.
Yeah.
Which I thought just looked amazing.
Yeah.
Do you know what? I'm going to check this one out. I'm going to check this one out because I think it could be a lot of fun.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Okay, have we got anything else?
Not on that particular one, but we do have another Kickstarter.
Okay. I think this is the last one now. I don't think we've any time for anything else.
Okay,
now,
well,
so
this is my favorite of the bunch.
Okay.
7 Sins.
Oh, this is McVeigh's.
Yes.
Look
at McVeigh getting in on it.
Look at it.
This is them doing the last uncorrupted city on Earth.
Yeah.
Is now being attacked by the 7 deadly sins. So you have pride, you have lust, you have gluttony, you have sloth. I can't remember the rest. But
laziness.
Sloth. That was sloth.
Oh, okay. Right. Okay.
Yeah.
Wrath and pride.
And envy.
And envy.
Okay.
Yeah. Basically, this one is looking to be a very cool Kickstarter for the fact that it's them invading the last city on Earth.
Yeah.
Trying to corrupt it, trying to just drag the world into darkness.
Mm-hmm.
You have 2 sides to it. So you have one person who's playing the sins.
Yeah.
And the other person who is playing the good guys who is trying to stop them.
So it's a 2-player game.
I'm not sure if it's 2-player.
But there's 2 sides to it.
There are two
sides, but you have multiple hero characters in it, which play on the side of faith.
Yes, faith.
So you have faith and sin, and they battle against each other.
Depending on which of the sins is the overarching villain of the particular game you're playing, or the time you're playing through it,
you
actually get arcing stories. Mm-hmm. So you'll do a mission, and then you'll have a choice of which way to go.
Any more pictures?
I have one more picture. It's all the Gribblies because I think they're really cool.
Oh.
So we have infected doctors and waiters there.
I like the multi-armed chef.
Yeah.
Cool, he could totally go birdie, 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 birdie.
Chefies. So long since I've heard it.
Yeah, they are horrifying.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. But this is the one where we saw some of the other painted miniatures, some of the big scary stuff.
Yeah, you've got some of those big Gribbly guys, yeah. But it's looking to be another great one. This one is 6 times funded.
Yes.
So stretch goal, stretch goal, stretch goal, stretch goal.
Yeah.
People are going to love this one. It's also affiliated with Cool Mini or not, I think.
Yes. Well, it is. Yes. Okay, guys. Thank you for that.
Yeah.
There you go. If you are fancying checking out some Kickstarters, go and give that a shot.
You'd be utterly mad not to. I had to.
Okay.
Damn.
Fine. No. No.
Okay, that's enough. Right. No.
Warren, what you were looking for was rats.
Rats? Oh, right. Okay, right. Guys, look, thank you so much for watching. Why not come on over to beastsofwar.com tomorrow morning and join Backstage. Backstage is kind of our membership. It's a very small fee per month. You'd be mad not to do it because we have tons of content and we have a ton of extra fun and just laughs over on Backstage. It's a Backstage ultimately that is allowing us to do what we do. Backstage gives us our independence in the industry, and it keeps all the lights burning and lets us keep cameras up to date, and allows us to produce this show and all the other shows that we put out publicly. We couldn't do that if we didn't have the support of Backstagers. It's just part and parcel of today's world that ultimately we do lean on you guys to be able to do all of this, to do the news feeds every day, keep the website running. It's how the world's going now. We have to do it together as a community. And if we don't, it's just not possible anymore.
True, but being in Backstage, you do get so much back to make it worthwhile.
Well, yes, you're getting tons of painting tutorials. You get behind the scenes.
Yeah, you get the vlogs.
You get the vlogs where we're showing you what's happening behind the scenes and everything else. Plus, you get a whole additional weekender called the XLBS. And then a lot of the shows that we put out now, like Drop Tactics and Exploring Exodus, there's also a Backstage version of that as well, which is a whole additional episode of that. So it really is, it's a whole heap of extra content that's there. And we do that for you as Backstage, but the reality is that none of this could exist without the support of our Backstagers, who are there with us all the time, keeping it running. Okay, guys. Tomorrow on Backstage, we've got some stuff we're going to be talking about, like armies being bought off eBay, some of the pitfalls. I fell into a trap. I want to talk about it a little bit.
We'll be showing off Thomas's army.
We've got that whole thing on Thomas's. Bring it up once more. We're going to be talking about this army.
Yeah, I picked out a few of the gems from it to show off to everybody.
In some detail, I'm talking about the new show, the conversion show, that is being worked on at the moment.
Yeah.
And other than that, I'm going to talk a little bit about, there was a very interesting article about the latest shareholders AGM thing from Games Workshop, and it's I thought it was really interesting. I thought it was really, really interesting. So we're going to probably talk a bit about that. Oh, that was a very newsreader thing there, wasn't it? Okay, guys, look, have a fantastic weekend. Look, we really hope to see as many of you tomorrow morning as possible. But if for whatever reason you don't manage to make it into Backstage, we'll see you next week.
Venture into the dangerous dungeons of myth as a mighty hero and stand against the darkness. Visit the Myth Hub on beastsofwar.com and begin your story. Progress comes to a world of magic as science and the arcane combine to make marvels. Meet steampunk inventors and orc mystics at the Volsung Hub on beastsofwar.com.